Growing up in the United States, I was always told that minivans, or MPVs, were the automotive equivalent of giving up on life. After all, what's interesting about a vehicle that's only designed for taking children to and from soccer practice? Apparently, nobody ever told that to the people over at Zeekr, however, because they decided to make an MPV with the power of a BMW M3, styling from the 22nd century, and an interior from a concept car. Meet the Mix. Zeekr had yet to release official pricing for the Mix as of filming, nor had they announced any specific plans for exporting it to other markets. Considering the popularity of this size of MPV in places like Europe, however, it seems like a no-brainer. To say that the Zeekr Mix's styling is futuristic would be underselling it by a wide margin. If you told me that this thing was a driverless robotaxi shuttling people around New York in the year 2075, I would find it very believable. In fact, it kind of is, because the SEAM architecture developed by Geely for this car was loaned to American driverless company Waymo in order to underpin their Waymo driverless robotaxi concept car. Except this is not a concept. This is a production vehicle. One of the things that makes the Mix look so futuristic, apart from the front-end styling that looks like it might gain sentience at any moment and begin a rebellion against us human meat sacks, is the fact that the wheels are pushed to the absolute corners of the vehicle. This thing measures 4.7 meters in length, but has a wheelbase of 3 meters. That's the equivalent of putting the wheelbase of a Mercedes-Benz S-Class underneath a Honda Civic. The Mix uses a trick multi-link rear suspension which separates the damper and the spring, allowing for flexible packaging that doesn't impinge on interior space as much as a standard multi-link rear suspension. That means it can retain a respectable 568 liters of space with the seats up, and over 2,000 liters when you hit a button and lay them down. The Zeekr Mix is one of the strangest vehicles I've ever reviewed, and that goes well beyond the styling. Even the way you enter the car is unconventional. Most MPVs of this length couldn't possibly have a traditional sliding door because they don't have space for the track right here. They've got a solution for that. This door operates on large hinges mounted top and bottom, just like you'd find on the door of a public bus or a subway. Once you've opened this door, however, it looks more or less like a normal MPV. Then you hit another button, and you realize that the front door is also an insane forward hinged door. Ingress and egress, as you can imagine, is absolutely incredible. When you're ready to close the door, there is a button here on the dashboard that you can hit. Note also the fact that once these doors are open, there is no B-pillar. That's right, this is a pillarless MPV, though Zeekr is quick to point out the fact that when the doors close, the rear of the front door and the front of the rear door come together to form a dual B-pillar. There's also added material in the top of the car structure here for extra rigidity and safety. This funky forward swinging door necessitates another feature that I've never seen on a car. If you're preparing to open this door and the car realizes that you've got some turn in the steering wheel, it will automatically return the steering wheel to center. That way the door won't run into the front tire or wheel. If you do not allow it to return to center, the door will simply not open all the way. Either way, it's not going to run into the wheel. When it doesn't open all the way, there's still just enough space for you to get into the front seat. I know for a fact my videographer is loving that there's no B-pillar right here to block him from filming me as I tell you all about the functions available in the second row of the Zeekr Mix, starting with the fact that you can get heating, cooling, and massaging, all of which are controlled by a little touch panel in this fold-down center armrest. Over here on the right side armrest, you will find the controls for your electrically adjustable rake. As such, you'll also find an electric adjustment forward and aft, and an electrically adjustable leg rest. Really want to be comfortable, you can hit a button down here and lower a footrest, like so. Ah, Zeekr also has a very down-to-earth solution when it comes to rear entertainment, which is a mount where you can put an iPad or any other kind of a tablet computer, as well as a power outlet for that device. This is actually the power outlet that you would use to charge your phone as well. There is one on the back of each seat rest. I approve. Very simple solution. Based on other Zeekr models, I would say that the heating is probably standard on this car, but the cooling and massaging and maybe even leg rests could be an added cost option. The electric adjustability, however, almost certainly has to be standard because it's a major part of this car's other calling card. The calling card in question is what Zeekr claims to be the world's first electrically spinning front row seats. Both driver and passenger seat can spin around to fully face the rear passengers at the touch of a button. See, I told you it had a concept car interior. The center console, as you can see, can be adjusted as you see fit, forward and aft. It also has an available 10.9-liter refrigerated and heated storage space. But if you choose not to opt for the refrigerator, you instead get 4 mounts on the side of this center console, which you can use to mount small separate tables like this, or one very large table, say if you guys wanted to share a meal together. Once you've turned the seats all the way around, you'll notice that legroom, at least over here on the driver's side where you can't move the seat back any farther because of that steering wheel, is kind of at a premium. So you and the person you're sitting across from, you're going to have to mingle feet a little bit in order to get comfortable. So reserve this one only for family and close friends. Otherwise, it might get a little awkward. As you can see, I've now adjusted it so we have the maximum level of rear legroom. And that's because in the press materials for this car, they claimed that you could turn it into a mobile yoga studio. So I plan to put that to the test with some sick moves. All right, let's start with downward facing dog. Success. Upward facing dog. Okay, also success. And since these are the 2 yoga moves that I can remember off the top of my head, I guess it gets an A+. Some of you mathematicians in the audience will recognize the fact that I said this thing can spin 270 degrees, but turning around is only 180 degrees. To get the other 90 degrees, you have to turn the seat so it faces outward. You might use this to watch a sunset or some type of sporting event. Or you could use it to go fishing. Oh, I don't have any bait. The driver's side door is a normal front hinged affair, but it is electrically operated. It can be closed by hitting the brake pedal, which would also close the door on our camera, so I won't do that. Or you can close it by a button on the door, or this button on the dashboard, which is undoubtedly the most convenient of the 3 options. The interior tech in terms of screens is pretty much identical to that of the Zeekr 7X, except the HUD measures 29 inches instead of the larger 35 plus inches of the 7X SUV. The instrument cluster is the same, 13.02 inches, as is the center screen at 15.05. And yes, it matters that we say 13.02 and 15.05 and not 13 and 15, because, you know, this much screen makes a difference, I guess, to someone, somewhere. The 15.05 inch, and again, 15.05, not 15 inch, center screen can be turned up to 12 degrees towards the driver, or up to 47 degrees towards the passenger, like so. You'll note that this is manually adjusted, not electrically adjusted like the one in something like a Nevo E07. That's mostly because I think it's way more convenient to do such a large range of motion by hand than it would be to wait for a little electric motors to slowly beep, 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 all the way over to that side. Moving from one side of the mix is as easy as making sure the center console isn't in the way, and then sliding over, like so. Underneath this center screen, you will notice there is no row of physical buttons as there is in a 7X, but honestly, that just adds to the sense of airiness inside of this cockpit. though I still miss the physical buttons, just for the record. In here, it feels incredibly spacious, especially over here on the passenger side, because they've gotten rid of the glove compartment. Well, they haven't gotten rid of it. They've actually put a top-hinged glove compartment like that. That just adds, again, to the sense that you have lots and lots of space inside of here. Just in case you thought it was only easy to get from left to right in this car, it's also pretty easy to get from front to back, as I will demonstrate right now. And done. I've moved back to the driver's seat to talk about two important topics before we get onto the road and see how this thing actually drives. The first is the fact that you also get this little modular attachment that you can slide in here to give yourself two cup holders and a place to put your phone. Pretty convenient. You've also got two holes here on either side of your USB charging ports so that you can, I guess, later on have some other functions or other tools that you can put in here. Right now there aren't any that fit, but they call them DIY, so maybe you can think of some and tell Zeekr what to do with them. The other topic I want to talk about is a little bit less positive, and that's the fact that the biggest shortcoming on this interior is material quality. Zeekr is known as a premium brand, and they have the interiors to match. I really love the look and feel of the interior on the 001 and the 7X and all the other Zeekrs that I have driven. They look and feel very premium. This car's interior styling is, in my opinion, very, very nice. I really like, for example, the combination of these bronze or rose gold pieces and this dark blue interior. I really, really like the way that it looks. But when it comes to the way it feels, there is way more cheap, hard plastic on this interior than I've seen in any other Zeekr model, and I cannot go without commenting on that. I also cannot help but feel they spent all their money on all these cool functions and didn't have any left over to make sure that that wasn't hard plastic. The mix can be had with either a 76.5 kilowatt-hour LFP battery pack with a claimed CLTC range of 550 kilometers, or a 102 kilowatt-hour NCM pack from CATL with a claimed range of 702 kilometers. Claimed charging speeds from 10 to 80% are a blazing 10.5 and 15 minutes, respectively. I said this MPV has M3 levels of power because its single rear-mounted electric motor makes 310 kilowatts and 440 newton meters of torque. That's around 415 horsepower, or around the same as an E92 M3. Note I did not say that it's as much as the newest M3. It definitely doesn't have M3 levels of acceleration because it weighs 2.7 tons or over 5,000 pounds. The official number from Zeekr is 6.8 seconds, and it feels that way. In fact, acceleration from a standstill is actually quite gentle due to the tuning of the accelerator pedal. Once you get to higher speeds, say over 50, 60 kilometers per hour, the acceleration feels a little bit more vigorous, which makes for better passing power. The front suspension is McPherson's strut, not the double wishbone you can find on other Zeekr models. This was likely done for packaging as well as cost reasons, but the ride and handling don't seem to have suffered. In fact, I found the mix to be surprisingly agile when hustling through curvy roads, despite a healthy amount of body roll. Credit that to the fact that the wheels are pushed to the absolute corners of the platform. As for the ride, it felt isolated from bumps and imperfections, but not floaty or overly soft. The mix also felt highly maneuverable at low speeds, thanks to a turning radius of just 4.95 meters, which is almost a full meter less than a Honda Civic. This is possible because the tight packaging of the front suspension leaves more room for the wheel to turn, and the fact that the front tire has a bit of positive camber when the wheel is turned all the way. You will no doubt have noticed the RoboSense LiDAR unit mounted above this car's windshield. That is a standard feature, as is lane cruise control. But if you want to get an upgraded driver assistance system they call NZP or Navigation Zeekr Pilot, not exactly a great name in my opinion, but either way, if you want it, you will probably have to pay an extra about $5,000 US. At least that's what it costs on other Zeekr models. That system upgrades you to having a highway NOA, or navigation on autopilot, and they say that it will eventually have city NOA as well, though the system is memory-based. The Zeekr Mix may be one of my absolute favorite cars of 2024. Not only can I not help but smile every time I look at it, with its strange proportions and its crazy little front end and its amazing concept car interior, I also think that that interior is a really, really unique proposition in this market. Also, this is a pretty unique proposition in the first place because it's one of the few smaller electric MPVs that you can buy with an interior that's this nice and an exterior that's this interesting. I am a little disappointed to see that Zeekr has decided to lower interior material quality in order to fit in all this technology, but I think it's worth the compromise.